Hi there friends, this is Chris with Peace of Mind Art and Crafts, and today I'm finally bringing you a video of my new slow stitch kit, which is called On the Farm, and I've got it started here. And this will be part one of the video. I will show you basically how to get it started and then do some stitching on it, and part two I will continue on the stitching and showing you different ways that you can embellish yours and so on. With the kit you will get most of the fabric that you see here. However, it will change eventually if I can't find those fabrics anymore, but the colors will be very similar, and also you'll have kind of more than enough fabric provided so that you can make a bigger or maybe a little smaller, or however you want to arrange them. Here is the pattern that you will get with the kit, and this pattern is copyrighted. So I ask you not to like copy it or take a screenshot or anything like that. Like I said, I will have this as a kit on my Etsy shop for you to purchase. I also have several other kits on there. This is the one of the only ones that goes in a horizontal orientation, rather than most of them are you know, this way, the vertical. But I kind of thought, well, this is kind of more of a landscape, so we'll do it this way. I think the log cabin also goes in this direction, but I'm not super sure. Anyway, you'll start with your pattern, and you also can refer to the other videos for the kits that I have to get more hints and so on, for, you know, that you can apply to this one. So I don't cover every single little exact thing on every single video, but I do cover the basics. So you start with your pattern. What I suggest you do, instead of cutting up this pattern, I suggest you take a because you can't make copies of this because it's copyrighted. I suggest you take a piece of tracing paper, and either with a pencil or a pen, you can go over your pieces. Now your larger pieces that come with the kit, like for example, for the ground, these in the sky, these three big pieces, the green, the tan with the speckles, and the sky, you can probably just use as is, or you may need to cut them down just a little bit. And I'll show you that in a minute. But what you would need the tracing paper for is for the other pieces on your pattern. So for example, you'll need the piece for this green. What this is back here is, it's the foliage. So you want to just go right through these lines. This is the foliage for back behind the house and the trees and the yard. So you could just go through like that so that you have the piece. Now if you don't have quite enough, what you can do, here, let me do the sides here, and I would suggest maybe making the sides just a little bit longer. Okay, can you see that? Let me do it over. Let me put it on this paper, and you can see it better. So that's the background, and that's gonna be green, which you can see in here. It's kind of a darker green. but these other things will go on top of it. If you wanted to, you could cut. If you don't have quite enough, I suggest you just cut it, you know, like to here, and then move it over, and that'll give you plenty. In other words, leave a gap here in the middle. Okay, so that's the green part. Like I said, for these pieces, you'll just be maneuvering them down onto the fabric, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. For the rest of the pieces, you'll just continue. Now, for this house, I would suggest that you make, of course, this is the roof, so make this a little bit higher. See how I'm bringing it up a little bit higher? And let's see, let's make it this. Okay, this is, the roof's going to be a different color, of course, so you need to have that whole thing. And then you can go, oops, this. Of course, this is going to be part of the house. So that's your whole. You don't need this line here. I shouldn't have drawn that. Shouldn't have drawn that line. You don't need to draw that. But then that's the part that you'll cut out with the white. And then you want to make the roof sections. I suggest maybe make them just a little bit bigger than what they are, just in case you have a little bit more room to kind of maneuver them in there on top of the other things. Now, the door, you see the door here I made out of a floral fabric, and you can use anything you want for the door, maybe part of this red or whatever color you want to make your door. You'll have some leftovers from the different things. And then your roof for both for both areas is made out of that gray fabric, and here's some more of that gray fabric. And this kind of makes it look like stones. I may not have that kind of fabric forever, so another thing you can do with your piece of fabric after you get it cut out. Okay, say this is the piece of fabric, and maybe it's just a piece of gray, and maybe it doesn't have this little white rectangles in it. Then you can actually make your own. This would be the piece of fabric, and you can actually make your own little, with this pen, which is a Sharpie extra fine point, and this will not bleed on fabric, and it won't, if it gets wet, it won't smear. So this is what I use primarily to get some little details in your work. I swear by Sharpies. I think they're the best. So in other words, you just keep drawing these little rocks on here. Some are bigger. Okay. If you want that look rather than whatever color you've got on your fabric. Eventually, I'm going to sell on Etsy the patterns for these, the patterns only. So this would be a good idea if you can't quite find the fabric that I send you in a kit, that you can remedy that by just drawing the stone. I guess you could call it a stone fence or a stone wall that's on your house. And also, you can do that on your house. You can use the Sharpie, and I'll show you on that. I've already placed my house down onto the pattern, but I'll show you when I draw on it. Let's Be very careful. And I would suggest you do this before you place the this piece of white house down to the other fabric, so it won't be quite so thick and it won't get in the way. Here's another column that comes down. You could, if you want to, you could put these columns in excuse me a second here, I'm kind of concentrating on this window. You could put these columns in with thread, and as well as the windows, but I just find it a little bit easier when you're on super details like this to use the pen to give it a little bit more to make it thinner, so it doesn't stand out quite so much as a piece of thread would. Okay, but like on this part, is part of the column that goes up, you could use a thread. Same on the roof, you could use a thread to tack it down. And I haven't done that yet, but we'll cover that in a little bit. Okay, so say you've got all of your pieces that you're going to need traced on to your tracing paper. And what you'll do is you'll take your piece of fabric that comes in the kit. In this case, it's the white. Let's see what I did with the white. Here it is. And this white that I use is kind of neat. It's got kind of a little like a checkerboard pattern. It's kind of a neutral on white. It gives you a little bit of and what I would do is I place it on, place this piece. You can cut it out first, of course. You don't need to cut it out exactly. Just cut it out. So you've got the general shape of it. I'm going to place this over here for now. Okay, then you can pin this down. See how I'm moving it? I'm moving it up to the top, just so I can save this bit of white if I want to use it for another part of the kit or for another project. It's probably good to have a folder or a place where you can keep your scraps of fabric. Oops. Need some more pins in here. Okay, so then you pin that on. Then you cut around it, which I would use, of course, fabric scissors. And like I said, maybe err on the side of too much, because you can always cut it down. Okay, and then just continue to cut all the way around it. And then when you've got a lot of your pieces cut out, I'll just kind of cut out the main pieces, like the house, these background pieces, the barn, the tree trunk. You don't have to do the pieces of the tree yet. Just wait on that. What else would you need? Okay, these pieces here you need to cut out. This part of the tree. For this tree, I'll give you some of this cool brown ribbon. I kind of thought that was neat. And then you can cut it apart for the trunk, and then cut pieces off for the limbs. Now, don't worry about using the pattern for this, because you can just kind of cut it a little bit. What I would do is I would cut the trunk up as far as you want it, and then cut it off, and then cut off a little bit on the side. See how I cut off a little bit on the side here? And then you can actually use those pieces for the limbs. And also, I did not put any leaves on this tree yet, because I plan on sewing them with the thread. Okay, so here's how I did mine. These are all the little pieces of, these are the little pattern pieces that I saved, and I just paper clipped them together. So if I want to make another one, then I'll have these. Okay, so we started the process. You have your fabric in front of you. You're matching your fabric up to what your pieces are. And then you'll take your background piece, which is a piece that's cut to 6 by 9. And I try to cut these a little bit better than, or a little bit bigger than 6 by 9, just so you have a little bit extra to work with. So don't worry about if your pieces don't go all the way out to the edge. They will be 6 by 9, you know, to fit on here. They will work. Okay, so let's take a look at the pattern. And you can either go by the picture or you can go by your pattern. And you'll have your pattern because you won't have cut it up. So you'll be able to see where everything kind of sets and goes. So the first thing you want to do is put your sky. Okay. So I would try to line this up right with that edge, and it doesn't matter if this overhangs a little bit. Okay, and the way that you want to get your pieces tacked down is you want to use a glue stick. You can pin if you want. However, I have found that by pinning, I'll often like run my hand over a pin and get it caught, and that's not a good situation. So, especially for a clumsy person like me. So I use the glue stick, and that will dry clear. And I just tack it down here and there, so it stays flat. I'm going to be sewing over that with thread, so it's gonna stay down. Now, after I get this whole thing tacked down, then I can go back and I can cut the edges off a little bit here, or if I wanted to, I could put them over like that to give it more of a finished edge. Okay, so our big pieces: the sky, the middle, the ground. So let's go next with the middle. Okay, now you'll notice that this fits all the way down here, so that's really kind of too much. I don't need all that. I don't need all that much. And this back here is going to have some of that green and brown on it, so I don't need to bring it quite all the way up to there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my green, and I'm going to fit that on there where I want it. And I can actually take it and measure it onto the pattern too to see how it is on there. Okay, that's kind of not, that's too thin of a strip there, so I'm going to bring it down. And I'm going to make that thinner. Okay, and I'm going to rip off that piece to fit. I'm going to save this piece because I might be able to use that somewhere else. Either in this one or maybe for the leaves or, you know, whatever. Okay, so then this I'm going to need to cut. It can extend below, so make sure you don't cut it off too much. Fit that piece on there. And then this piece on there. Let's see, let's go like this. Okay. And then you just take your pieces and start fitting them down. These I need to glue down a bit. Okay, on this you kind of work up. You do the background first, the first layer, which is the sky, the ground, the middle, and the bottom, the ground. And then you start working on the pieces that are next in brown, which would be, let's see, we've got, what's for the tree? Can you see that way? Okay, so you would do this piece next, and you would do the flowers, whatever kind of flowers I give you. And you can also, if you either don't get flowers or you want to do your own, you can also embroider your flowers. Then this piece here is a piece of the brown that goes down first, and then your flowers. And here's a piece of the brown that goes up here. So you want to do your green, your dark green, then here's a light green, then here's the brown, and that will go along here. Okay, and you'll also have these pieces here, which you'll put in up here, your gray, and of course this gray piece. So those will go down first, and then from there you start building your barn, your house, and your tree trunks. Okay, now I need to tell you, when I send you these kits, I'll send you some of these smaller animals, and then these, of course, these sheep are kind of in the front, in the foreground more, so they're a little bigger. But if you want like specific animals, like I think I have a horse, and I have a cow, and I have, of course, the pigs, and chickens, and sheep, and oh, what else do I have? Roosters, I think. Just whatever you might want. You can tell me when you order your kit. You can say in the comments, I really like such and such animal. Could you send me some of that? Or otherwise, you'll just kind of get maybe 2 or 3 different animals that I will include with the kit. Okay, also with the kit, you'll get a little bit of beads and trim and what am I trying to say? Buttons, things like that you can embellish your kit with. So, and you get all the thread to make the kit. So I'm going to end for now, and I'm going to continue on this one, making this one, and we'll start covering the rest of the house and so on here. And then I'll show you how to do some of the stitching. So I thank you for watching today, and I wish you a very good week. Please go to my Etsy shop and check it out, and if you can, then give me a like on this video and subscribe. Thank you. Peace of mind.